Welcome back to the Market Makers Podcast. I am your host, Vince Casito. Hey guys, I'm Vince Casito.
And I'm Lauren Tiers.
And we are your Market
Makers.
Makers. What's happening, Lauren? How are you?
Yeah, excited. Had a great Thanksgiving, a lot of rest and relaxation. What about you?
Same. Listen, I watched a ton of football, probably like 48 hours of football between Wednesday and Sunday. Lots of great games. And
so many good games.
how about them Jaguars?
I am stoked about the Jags. It's been too long. We've waited forever for this.
No, listen, they've turned it around. We're number one in our division.
Yes.
We play the Colts this Sunday, and we will
It's
win
gonna be
that
a
game.
huge game.
At the bank. We should go.
Let's go.
I'm totally down for going. But look, not just the Jaguars. I mean, there were so many upsets. I stayed up late last night, even though I told you I wouldn't. We're here in the office super early on Mondays, but that Washington game was amazing. So we lost, but those guys, they played their hearts out, and it came down to one play. And anytime a football game comes down to like the last 5 seconds in one play, it's always exciting.
The last 5 seconds, so I missed this one.
You should have stayed up. I mean, my son had school, and I woke him up. I'm like, Vinny, you got to check this out, buddy. This is really cool.
It was that good?
Yeah, we went into overtime. We kept coming back. We were supposed to lose. I mean, the Broncos are an amazing football team.
They are.
But, we kept in there and did a few things here and there, and we were that close from winning.
Yeah.
Gives me a little bit of hope for next year. We'll see. But at least, I'll tell you what, one cool thing, and I was talking to my buddy about this, is I am a diehard Washington fan. I grew up in D.C.
Yes.
Everybody that knows me obviously knows that. But I've fallen in love with the Jags, too. And I've probably, by this point, have been to more Jaguar games than I have been to Washington games, right?
Okay.
And I would say that I like them both, and it's good to have two teams, right? It creates sports confusion when it comes to your kids, right? But at the same time, last year, the Commanders did well. They made it to the playoffs. The Jaguars were not doing too hot. Mm-hmm. And then this year, the Jaguars are looking good. So as long as one of my teams does well, it becomes an exciting football.
It's not catastrophic.
Exactly. Now, if they play together, it's going to be really confusing. But that only happens once every 8 years, so I'm not worried about it.
How was your Thanksgiving?
It was awesome. I had a blast. I hit the reset button and had a great time with family, ate well, probably gained a few pounds here and there.
Okay.
But how was yours?
I loved it. Did a lot of relaxing. Didn't have a ton of plans on Thursday night. This was really fun. In all my 15 years of living in Jacksonville, I have never been to the Amelia Island Christmas tree lighting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that was at the Ritz. We went to that, had a blast. It was snowing on the beach. That was really fun.
That's cool.
There was a ton of people there. What was really cool is everything that they bring in for that event all goes to charity.
That's awesome.
So they raised like over $50,000 to go to local charities. So that was really cool.
That is awesome. I know you were texting me, and I was trying hard to convince you to move to Fernandina.
Yes.
Which you should, by the way. Fern is a great place to live. I'm just telling you, they have amazing schools. There's a lot to do. You have an office there already, so
yeah, we do.
So exciting, but no, it was fun. I think we both needed to recharge our batteries because we've been so busy helping families, doing all these awesome things in the community. But listen, we're right back at it. But let's switch gears. Let's talk.
Okay.
Let's talk real estate. And look, if you're looking to buy a house for the first time, maybe a second home in the state of Florida. You're looking to invest, you're looking to switch careers, you're in the mortgage industry, you're in the real estate industry, give us a call, 904-999-8286. Again, that number is 904-999-8286. We have a tremendous team of professionals willing and ready to help you with any of your financing needs or real estate needs. But let's get into it. So
all right.
We're in December now.
Mm-hmm. Favorite time of year.
There's a saying, and I don't know how accurate this is, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. But there's crazy/smart people that buy homes in December. Tell me a recent family or someone that you've helped buy a home in the month of December.
Ooh, okay. So this one hits home for me, to be honest.
Okay.
So the example that I'm going to give is my own.
All right.
So I went under contract, believe it or not, in December.
Okay. This is the house that you live in now?
At the house that I live in now. So this was 2 years ago. I had sold the very first house that I had purchased. And I was renting. And I was actually stuck in a lease, spending, a ton of money every single month. And I had not honestly planned on buying a house in December.
Okay.
And I kept driving by this house and I was like, oh my gosh, like I love this house. It has a huge garage. And I was like, this is perfect. My boat will fit right into it.
Like two boats will fit in your garage.
Technically, it
Yeah.
could. It's huge. And I was like, but I didn't really want to break my lease. And we hear that like a lot in this industry. I don't want to
Right.
break my lease. I'm going to lose money. So, long story short, I ended up saying, you know what? I'm going to make an offer on this home and I'm going to make it the craziest offer that
I like
I could
this.
possibly do. So the house was on the market for like $530,000. And I made an insane, absolute insane offer. And believe it or not, they accepted it.
Wow.
And the house ended up appraising like $100,000 more than what I got it for.
Okay.
Because I was putting more than 10% down, I was able to get 6% in seller concessions.
Nice.
So it was absolutely bananas, the deal that I got in this home. Like it was insane.
That is a great personal story, and it leads into what I was saying. Not that you're crazy, right? But most people don't buy homes in December, right?
Right.
Let's face it, people wait for their kids to get out of school. There's a lot of real estate activity in the summer months, even in the
Mm-hmm.
spring, right? You get into the spring, and people want to start buying. They start looking into, applying for a mortgage and so forth. But I feel like in December you can get an amazing, awesome deal like you did,
Yeah.
and save like tens of thousands of dollars,
So
right?
much money. It's crazy. And now I have all this equity in my home. And if I didn't take that leap of faith, because honestly, if I go back to my first purchase, I think of so many different things of reasons why I almost talked myself out of buying a home. Because I'm in the mortgage industry, I make commission income. There's so many different things, like even being in the industry, that I was scared to
Right.
buy a house. And I feel like there's so many people that may feel the same exact way.
Yeah, no, look, as you're, reflecting on Thanksgiving, planning for the new year, you
Hmm.
might be in that situation, right? We've all been there, right? So it sometimes it can be scary to buy a house, but you got to start by securing the financing.
Yeah.
You gave yourself the opportunity to buy. You got a tremendous deal, and I
Hmm.
think that so many families right now, especially in the current real estate market that we're in, can save so much money, right? So can you be out, doing some Black Friday shopping and some holiday shopping and maxing out your credit card? And
Oh yeah.
yes, absolutely. We've all been there. We've all done that. But what if you invest in your future, invest in buying a home and get yourself a house in December? You could totally do so. And we would love to help you. You just got to give us a call, 904-999-8286. Again, that number is 904-999-8286. But look, I also purchased a house in December. This is many, many years
Did you
ago.
really?
Yes, yes. And that's why I say like crazy smart people buy in December.
Hmm.
Right? I remember this is 15 years ago. I lived in this house for maybe 14 years or something.
Okay.
And it was New Year's Eve, and I'm driving around, found a neighborhood I really liked, and walked in, talked to a new home consultant, and wrote up
All
a
right.
contract. I didn't even tell Nikki about it until afterwards, but
The
I
deal was just right.
yeah, I did it because it was they were offering a tremendous deal, and builders right now are doing just
Yeah,
that,
they
right? They were
are.
like, "Hey, you'll get X amount in upgrades, and by the way, we'll pay your closing costs, and this house was X
Hmm.
amount of money last month, but today, and I'm just adding it all up. I'm like, wow, that's like a
It's a
lot of
ton of money.
savings, and I was like, all right, tell you what, and I did just that, right? I
Yeah.
had a amazing agent representing me, and I was like, you know what, I have nothing to lose. I wasn't looking to buy a house today, but submit a super aggressive offer and they accepted it.
Hmm.
And we have clients right now taking advantage of the market that we're in, right? We're in a short window of time where, yes, rates are high, but look, you can always refinance, right?
Can refinance later.
All these contracts we're getting in, the sellers are paying all the closing costs. In some cases, I know you had a transaction with one of your loan officers
Yeah.
where they were given too much of a seller credit.
It
Like we had to
was. It was unbelievable.
yeah,
I've never seen that.
we had to give money back. Like, hey, thank you for this 30 grand, but we can only take 26,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think it was like $36,000.
That is insane.
It's
That
a
is
lot of
insane. So
money.
yeah, no, look, so folks, as you're, going into the new year and you're planning, there's a saying in our industry, the best time to buy a house is 5 years
Right.
ago.
Yeah.
Right. So if you are self-employed, we got you. If you're a first-time home buyer, there are so many down payment assistance options out there. if you are, currently own a house, right, and you're afraid that you're not going to qualify for two mortgages, there are solutions, and that's where, experience matters. The fact that we've
Hmm.
been doing this forever, we have an amazing team of mortgage professionals. We will find a way. We're never going to tell you no. Worst case scenario, we will tell you exactly what you need to do to buy. So, get excited. Let's do this. We would
Yes.
love the opportunity to help you folks. But what else? What else do we have here?
So I gotta say something crazy.
What's that?
And most people wouldn't know this, but what would you think like the world's biggest fear is? And so I'll give you a
Rejection?
hint. It's yeah, it's
What is it? No,
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 it's
no.
not. It's not
Okay.
rejection. So the biggest fear that most people have is the fear of the unknown.
Okay.
And most people don't realize that that's the biggest fear. So whether you're like out in the ocean and you're scared what's below, like not knowing what's there. I mean, I think it's the same thing with
Okay.
home buying, right?
Right.
I think people are scared to take the leap of faith because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
Like maybe they don't get qualified, maybe they do. A lot of times it's so much better than people really think. So if you're listening and you do have that fear, the fear of the unknown of what's going to happen, I hope listening to this episode like encourages you to take the leap of faith.
Right.
To call us. We can help you get pre-approved. We can go over your options if you're worried about credit or whatever it may be. Don't let that fear hold you back to your true potential.
No, I'm so glad you said that because we see it every week, right? So with the radio shows that we do, we get a call like probably every week, and it's usually a family that says, "Hey, look,
Hmm.
I heard your show. I'm interested. I'm not ready. I'm probably not going to be able to buy. I tried to get pre-approved last year with a credit union. I was told no, but
Exactly.
I was compelled to call you guys, and a lot of times they get surprised and they're buying a house in the next
Yeah.
90 days. Right? We had a family that closed recently with one of our loan officers, and it was a family that had only lived in the United States for about a year and 3 months.
Okay.
And they said, "Look, we want to prepare ourselves to buy 2 years from now." And they lived in Portugal, lived in other parts of Europe, and they didn't know how easy it is to qualify for a mortgage today. So where I'm going with that is you got to give yourself the opportunity, and the fear of the
Yes.
unknown. It's a thing, right? And buying a house in today's lending environment, I think it's much easier than it was, like, call it 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many options, and the first step in buying a house is to secure that financing.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, like what I said earlier, we're never going to tell you, you might be self-employed, excuse me, and you might have to do your taxes, next year.
Right.
But we're going to put you on that path of home ownership. But the cool thing about it is so many of you are going to be surprised that you
Mm-hmm.
don't need excellent credit. You certainly don't need 20% down. There's so many different options out there for you to obtain a mortgage in today's market. And guess what? If you get pre-approved in the next 2 weeks, you could take advantage of the, market that we're in. And like Lauren and
Yes.
myself, save tens of thousands of dollars. And that's the idea. We want folks to really understand that as the market shifts up to, potentially a buyer's market, if rates do
Mm-hmm.
go down, things are going to be a little harder for those people that have little to no money to put down or
Right.
pay closing costs and so forth.
So tell
Go
me,
ahead.
tell me this: what future advice? You bought a house in at Christmas time, so did I. So if somebody's listening, what advice would you give somebody going in Christmas time? Maybe they want to buy a house in 2026. Like, what would you tell them?
Look, you got to start now. The sooner you start, the better. You might have, everything planned out. Like I have a neighbor of mine, he maps out everything, and he's the most organized, analytical person I've ever met in my life. And
Do I
and
know this neighbor?
you might. He
Okay.
was. We're not gonna say his name, but he's in our fantasy football league. I'll
Okay.
just say that. And he sucks at it. No, I'm just kidding. No, but so you
Tax.
whatever your plan is, I would say start now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going into the new year, even if you want to buy after you sell your house next summer, or even if you want to buy next year, whatever the reason may be, like we can do a soft credit pull, right? We can
Mm-hmm.
help you organize your purchase, ideas that you may have, right? And
Right.
and if you qualify now and you buy a house, great. If not, you're gonna know exactly what you need to do. So to answer your
Mm-hmm.
question, what would I tell someone? I would say call in, have a conversation, figure out what you can and cannot do, and then go from there. If you want to buy
Mm-hmm.
now, great. If you still want to wait, then absolutely do so. But what we find is that folks, once they have that pre-approval letter in hand and they talk to a real estate professional and they realize what a great deal they can get today, they end up buying anyway. So,
Yeah, that's
but yeah,
true.
that's the advice that I would give someone. So, but no, excited to be doing this podcast with you. Now we're like everywhere. So we're on Apple, We're now we're in
Spotify.
iTunes. Is it iTunes or Apple Music? Am I getting that wrong?
I think it's both.
It's
It's
both. Okay.
interchangeable.
Okay. We're definitely on Spotify and on
Yes.
YouTube. So be sure to, like and subscribe. We're going to be doing this every week, and we have a
Yep,
tremendous supporting cast of folks that do this with us.
we
So
do.
the Market Makers podcast is something we should have probably done many, many years ago, but we get busy, but we have a commitment to you guys to do this every week. So I'm excited.
It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. So I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I kind of want to piss some people off.
And if this is where I think you're going with it, I'm cool with it. But hey, you know what?
Yeah,
One thing about us is we're always we're gonna speak our mind, right?
we
So
have to.
we do this because we're genuine people, we're honest, and we wanna give people our true opinion and not any gimmicks and stuff. So what do you got? All right, let's
All
upset some
right.
people.
So this may get us canceled. I don't know. Dave Ramsey, I think he's great and all for savings and everything, but he's very famously known for telling people to not buy a house unless you can qualify for a 15-year mortgage.
Ouch. Okay.
Yeah, that's terrible
It is
advice.
bad advice. Now, I think he's a tremendous individual. He's a very
He
successful
is.
guy. He gives a lot of good advice, but he's 1,000% wrong on this one.
Yeah,
Right.
I
So,
mean,
so don't buy a house unless you can qualify for a 15-year mortgage.
yeah. So how many people does that disqualify
Many
for a
people.
mortgage?
Right.
And how many people are sitting on the sidelines wasting money renting
Yes.
because they can't
So
qualify for a 15-year
if
mortgage?
someone's taking their advice and they're saving and saving money to be
Yeah.
able to get that 15-year mortgage, you might wait many, many years. And guess what? Rates are going to go up. They're going to come down. Home prices may go up. And here, you are paying rent every month, throwing money away. So
I don't even understand this concept, like even in the slightest. And then the way it really doesn't make sense to me is, let's say you do have a 30-year mortgage. You want to pay it off in 15 years. Most traditional mortgages today don't have prepayment penalties, so amortize it and make the 15-year payment on your own anyways, and you're not obligated to it now.
yes.
But you can still pay your home off in 15 years. No one's telling you what you can or can't do.
Sometimes even if those are your plans, I
Right.
would even
And that's a
argue,
great goal. Like, I'm not
yes,
saying that's not a good goal.
even if that's your goal, right? And let's say you do qualify for a 15-year mortgage, sometimes it just makes sense to take a 30-year mortgage, be disciplined.
Yes.
You still have the option to pay that home off in 10, 15 years if you choose to. But let's say, things happen in life, right? People get ill, like life comes your way. Having the flexibility of that lower 30-year mortgage payment is good to have.
1,000%.
God forbid something happens, but if it does, you're prepared. But if you're obligated to pay a really high mortgage and you're stuck on that 15-year term,
Yeah.
it could put you in a bad situation. And how many refinances have we done
Oh my
this year
gosh.
where people are like, hey, listen, I need to do a rate and term refinance. I've been in this mortgage for 15 years, but I'm in a tight financial situation. I want to take some cash out to go ahead and have
Yeah.
more liquidity. And it puts that family, we have a family right now where they have to refinance to pay debt off because they've been affected by the economy and things that have come their way. And had
It's
they,
unfortunate, but it
yes,
happens.
it does. It happens to all of us. So, Mr. Ramsey, I'm sorry, you're 1,000% wrong. Don't hate me. You're a sharp guy, but when it comes to
Yeah.
mortgages, leave it to the experts.
And I mean, he even goes a little bit further, saying, like, don't buy a house if you don't have 20% down, too.
Yeah, that doesn't
It
make
doesn't make
sense.
any sense.
No, and what's unfortunate is so many people listen to him, right?
Yeah.
And I think, look, I'll be honest. Had it not been for a 30-year mortgage, I wouldn't have been able to purchase my first house.
Yeah.
There's
So
no
you would
way.
just been renting.
Yeah, there's no way that and look, and let me tell you, like, so this is a true personal story, right? So I purchased a house in my early 20s, and there's no way that I would have been able to, take out or qualify for a 15-year mortgage for that house. Maybe like, I don't know, a smaller house or something, right?
Okay.
But had I not purchased that house when I did, when the market was hot, and I was able to sell it many years later and turn a profit, it really kind of helped me get ahead in life at an early age.
Yeah.
So, I disagree with this gentleman. Hopefully he's not. Actually, hopefully he is watching.
That
That'd
would be
cool.
super cool. I mean, look, I love his advice for savings and all of that. I think it's fantastic. Don't spend money that you don't have. Obviously, we get it. But when it comes to mortgages, talk to a true mortgage professional.
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
I think that is 1,000% correct, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, you gotta budget, you gotta have the ability to repay a mortgage. There's so many guidelines and
Of
restrictions in
course.
place with just about any type of loan that, no good lending institution is going to lend you more than what you can
No.
afford, right? That's why debt to income ratios are in place and so forth. And,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, you're an adult and you got to make a good financial decision for yourself. But if that good financial decision for yourself is going to hold you back from buying a house for many years because you're saving for 20% or you're hoping that you may
Mm-hmm.
or may not qualify for a 15-year mortgage, I just think that's 1,000% wrong for sure.
I do too. So we got a lot of really great questions sent in after our first episode.
Okay.
And I'm kind of excited. So, guys, if you're watching and you have a question for us, send it in. Maybe it will be shared on our next episode. But, Vince, I am going to share this question with you or ask you this question. And let's see what we got. So, Vince, what is the biggest money lesson that you have ever learned the hard way?
Look, not saving, right? I think that you always have to put money away for a rainy day. Not just if you're in our industry, right? Our industry's ups and downs. If you're in a commission-based industry or have some sort of variable income, that's more of a reason why you need to save because you
Oh,
never
yeah.
know what's going to happen, right? Unfortunately, we've seen it in the last couple of years. There's so many people that have gotten out of our industry because they didn't save money. They were having tremendous years when it came to 2020, 2021, and even, parts of 2022. And
Yeah.
they blew all their money. They didn't save it. The market got tough and they had no choice
It's
but to get out
awful.
of the industry. So
Yeah.
I would say the biggest lesson that, that I've learned is you got to put money away. You have to,
Hmm.
there's a saying that you should save 25% of your monthly income. And I know that's hard for a lot of families, but,
Yeah.
even if it's 10 or 15% that you could put away every single month, I think that's important, and you should always, try to have in savings at least, 3 to 6 months,
Yeah.
right? You never know what could happen, and if you're caught in a situation where, you're not able to bring in income, you could at least, kind of get yourself out of a hole. I'm a big
Hmm.
believer that in 3 months a lot could happen, and if you have 3 months of savings, you may have lost your job, but you could pay your bills for the next three
Yeah.
months and figure out a new career or a new job or something along those lines. But that would be mine. How about yours?
I honestly would probably end up saying the same thing. I think that, especially if you're in a commission based business, it can be like a roller coaster. If
Right.
you're not prepared for the future, and obviously being prepared. If I had to add anything else, I would say like don't be scared to take the risk.
Correct.
Don't let something hold you back from doing something great either.
Okay. I love it.
So,
I love it. No, I got one for you. This came in via Instagram and was a talking point on some of our pages. Are people actually overworked or just distracted? And I think that applies
ooh,
to so many industries. But what do you
yeah.
got? What do you think?
Okay, so again, I think a lot of people may disagree with this, but 1,000%, I think people are distracted. Actually, Vince, we were at a conference, this last September?
The one in Dallas?
The one in Dallas. Yeah,
Okay.
it was so good at the Gaylord. And Eric Qualman got up and he was speaking about this. So he wrote a book called here it is actually right here. How to Focus in an Unfocused World. And what he did was he got up and he told everybody to write down a phrase on their notebook. And it
I
says,
remember
I
this.
am great at multitasking. And then he took the letter, say you take the numbers and write 1 through 24 under each letter, okay, and time it and see how long that takes. And then he did it again, and you write down, I am great at multitasking, but one letter at a time, and then put the number with the letter. So you're basically switching back and forth. And what Eric was explaining to you is obviously in the second example, it took a hell of a lot longer to do it because you're going from one task to another task to another. And it was crazy. I can't even remember how much extra time that it added, but it basically just proves that your brain doesn't have the capacity to keep switching tasks back and forth. You have to stay focused. And in this industry, in the mortgage and real estate industry, I feel like we live in a world of notifications.
Oh yeah.
My phone blows up 24/7. Texts, emails, phone calls, have stuff with kids, like literally nonstop distractions.
Yes.
And it's so important to cut out the noise and cut out the distractions. Otherwise, you're like living in a dumpster fire. Or it's creating this fake sense of urgency that doesn't really need to be there. And it's keeping your mind cluttered. It's keeping your brain from functioning the right way. I know you, like, just by doing that exercise,
Oh yeah.
honestly, my head
Very.
hurt.
Yeah. No, it was very
I was
eye-opening.
like, I can't do this. It's too bad.
No, I felt like it was kind of a challenge, and I just looked at my peers next to me, and I was like, I'm gonna
I
win
was
this
like,
thing,
what?
right? I thought it was some sort of like, all right, there's a winner, but the
Yeah.
what I realized very quickly, like I'm sure everybody did, is your mind can only take in so much information, and you're right. In our
Yeah.
industry with technology, as much as it does enhance our performance and allows us to be able to originate a mortgage from anywhere in the country, and you can shoot emails from your phone, and there's so much that you can do. It's like we're connected to these devices, and we get
Hmm.
so much information thrown at us that at the end of the day, you can't really multitask like you think you could,
No. And
or you think you can.
if you are multitasking,
You're
stop doing it.
Yes, no,
It's true.
look, I think that goes to just everybody, right? It's especially in our industry, right? You see it with agents. I'm guilty of it too. I mean,
Hmm.
one of the things you've helped me with a lot over the years is to be able to set time aside for myself.
Yeah.
And it's
You
like I
have
have an
to.
appointment with myself to work on the next, 7 or 8 items and not be distracted. But I
Hmm.
think that was a really good question and something that doesn't get talked about often. But
That's a really good question.
it is, it is. But listen, we're almost out of time. But look, we're gonna do this podcast every week. I'm super stoked.
Hmm.
There's so much that we're gonna throw at you guys. We're mortgage professionals. We're partners with the best real estate team in the city. We have great connections within Jacksonville. We love what we do. We help the community. We talked, on our last show that we are connectors, and we are just that. Tune in to some amazing guests that we'll have here on our show. But listen, Christmas, December, my favorite time of the year.
It's the best.
What's a good Christmas tradition that you and DJ have?
All right. So, my favorite tradition is on actually Christmas Eve. We
Okay.
get together with the family. We go over to my aunt's actually, and we let the little kids exchange gifts. That's fun and all, but we just play reindeer games, like fun, silly games
Okay.
all together, and it's just so much fun. It's a blast.
I love it. I love it. So big shout out to Dave Mumbauer. It's Dave Mumbauer is in my Christmas tradition.
Okay.
Right. And I love Christmas and I'm super stoked. I'm like a little
Dave's
kid.
awesome. I love Dave.
Dave's such a cool guy. So every year we go to church together.
Okay.
We've probably been doing this for over a decade, right? And it's actually funny. So there's probably been, out of the last 10 years, Dave and his family have been, they missed out on church for not being there on time. So, and it's the worst. It's the worst. He'll text me. He's like, we're late again. We'll see you later.
Not
And
on
yes,
Christmas.
yes. But we typically go to church together. We go back to his house. Kelly makes the best lasagna ever.
Ooh, that sounds
Right.
good.
So we have lasagna. Then we, jump in my truck, drive around the neighborhood to look at the Christmas lights, have
Hmm.
a few drinks, and then we go back to our houses and do our Christmas last Santa thing.
I
So
love that.
I'm looking forward to doing that this year. And there's only been one year, I would say, in the last 10 that I missed out, and that was when I got separated there for a little bit.
Okay.
And I showed up to church. He told me to go home. I was heartbroken. That's the only time. So no lasagna that year, but that.
Lasagna.
But it's exciting. So look, we wish you guys, a Merry Christmas, and we're here
Yes.
to help. Whatever you need from us, we're a phone call away, 904-999-8286. I'm Vince,
And I'm Lauren,
and we are
your
your
market
market makers.
maker.